What's happening, guys? We're back and we need to address a growing concern. Alright guys, we're back in the shop today. I had a pretty long week. I was out in Vancouver for a couple days and I was out in Saskatoon for a day. So I haven't had time to get a whole lot done on the car throughout the week. So the chassis still needs a whole bunch of welding done on it. But I got a bit of a concern. I came out to the shop today and there's oil on the floor. So it appears that the engine is leaking a little bit of oil. There's not a whole lot of oil in there, so it's not great. So today I want to clean up the engine and pull that bottom pan off because it looks like that's where the oil's coming from. I think I sealed it on there, but we'll see. The other thing I'd like to do is kind of start figuring out where all of the hoses and piping go on this motor. That engine is like 20 years old or something. It's basically 1990s technology. So there's a lot of vacuum lines and coolant lines that need to be addressed. So I think what we'll do is we'll pull her out, clean it up, pop that pan off, and then see what the issues there are. And then we'll throw on the intake manifold and I don't know, maybe the turbocharger. Yeah, the turbocharger. And start to get an idea of where all our coolant lines need to go, our oil lines, vacuum lines, boost lines, etc. So let's dig into it. All right, I stand corrected. There was not a little bit of oil in the motor. There was zero oil at all in the motor. So I'm not 100% sure now where the oil on the floor is coming from. Current working theory is ghosts or aliens. So we're just gonna let that one lie. Let's grab the intake and exhaust and throw them on. This pail of stuff has been sitting in my basement for the last like year and a half. It's all the stuff that we took off the motor that I didn't think we'd need immediately. So I'm gonna go through this and see what does need to go back on the motor. I know my power steering pump's in there, so I'll put that back on. And then see what we don't need anymore and see if we can get rid of it. All right, we didn't make our life any easier. If anything, we made it far more complicated. The only thing that we pulled out of that bin that we don't need to put back on the motor is the fan, because we're gonna run an electric fan on the rad, and the air conditioner pump, because I don't see a reason to have AC in a car with no roof. So if you guys, anybody on here wants an AC pump off of a Nissan SR20, let me know. I'll sell it to you real cheap like. Anyhow, the next step is to figure out what all these ports and lines do. Coolant, fuel, oil, etc. There's some parts like this that kind of weird me out because it's a hose that joins into another hose that's bigger than the other hose. I don't know where the hell this goes to, so we're gonna have to figure that out. I'm just gonna label everything right now because I don't really know the routing of it in terms of, I know that this is a coolant hose, but I don't know if it's hot side, cold side, where it goes, where it comes from. So label it all out, and then I'm gonna have to do some research and figure out the actual correct routing for everything, and then buy some tubing and do it. So let's just label what we got. All right, there's 33 tags on that thing now. Everything from fuel pressure, fuel return, boost sensor, wastegate, oil in, oil out, coolant in, coolant out. Some of them are a little redundant, like my intercooler to intake tag. I know that that's the intake, but my plan is I'm gonna take all of those tags now and write them all down, probably in an Excel sheet or something. Figure out where they all go, do a little research because I have about 4 tags on there that just say like intake question mark. Figure out where they all go, figure out what size of tubing's needed for them, and then we'll buy all that tubing so we can plumb the engine. So having a tag on like the intake is good. I can buy tubing for the intake. So I'm gonna do that. There's not a whole lot more we can do on the engine in its current form. It is kind of nice to see it all put together, but we're gonna have to just leave it there. The one thing though that I did notice when I was pulling everything out of that bin is that there's a couple of these big brackets that say intake brace on them, and they go like there and actually hold the intake manifold up. I forgot about those. So that intake manifold is designed to be braced externally. It's not meant to just kind of hang off the engine. So probably if we leave it without the braces on it, it's gonna crack and fall off. So I don't know if there's gonna be room in the chassis for all these braces. So we might have to make kind of something like this, but on our own schedule. So next time the engine goes back in the chassis, I'm gonna remember these and we'll try them out, see if they fit. Hopefully they do. If not, we'll have to make something else. But I don't wanna just leave it unbraced. So that's where we're gonna leave that. That kinda leaves us at a good stopping point for today. We determined that there's no oil in the engine. We determined that there's a whole lot of stuff on the engine, and we labeled everything. We're gonna have to do this again when it comes to electrical because I'm noticing that there's a lot of electrical plugs on here that I don't know where they go. So I'm gonna do that. Probably gonna finish off the day, do a little bit of welding on the chassis, but that's what we're gonna call it an episode. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Go check us out on Instagram, Leftfootfirst Media, and we'll see you guys next week. I'm out of here.